The LPGA Tour had Caitlin Clark play, and the LPGA, fans, well, the event was taken over by the ominous crowd that made sure to go get angry at everything Caitlin Clark did and everything Caitlin Clark does and was ever going to do, and made it that she was the problem and not the solution.
The LPGA has ignited a major controversy, and it's a situation that has the WNBA fuming. Recently, the LPGA invited Caitlin Clark, one of basketball's brightest new prodigies, to participate in a special event. The result, a massive attendance, off-the-charts excitement levels, and a fresh wave of supporters taking to women's golf. The LPGA openly championed Clark's appearance, recognizing the incredible value she brings. But here comes the complication. While the world of golf welcomed her, the WNBA's reception has been anything but warm. Why would the WNBA feel so threatened by Clark's popularity? Could it be jealousy or something more complex? Stick with us, because this story delves into the core of a rivalry set to redefine the entire world of women's sports.
To the whole event, they saw how important it was that new fans were getting involved in golf, especially women's golf.
The LPGA's decision to feature Caitlin Clark proved to be transformative. Fans from all walks of life appeared. They're not just for the golf, but to catch a glimpse of Clark herself. Her popularity is indisputable. She has ushered in a wave of new followers to women's sports. As for the LPGA, they saw this instantly, greeting her warmly and viewing her not merely as a star, but as a beacon drawing new attention to their sport. The LPGA celebrated her attendance, understanding Caitlin was more than a basketball player. She was a magnet for youth audiences, many of whom might never have given women's golf a second thought. However, this warm welcome triggered an unexpected response, a current of deep frustration from the WNBA. The reason? It seems that instead of embracing Clark's widespread appeal, some voices within the WNBA perceive her as a competitor for the limelight, despite the boost she could offer. A feeling exists in the league that she pulls focus from its veteran stars. Some WNBA players and fans have voiced doubts, claiming the attention around Clark undermines the progress they have fought for.
The LPGA, you can see when it came to them that they were happy that Caitlin Clark was there. They knew exactly the value that Caitlin Clark brought.
But let's think about this. If women's sports are to grow, doesn't it make sense to welcome a talent like Caitlin, who brings a new audience along with her? The WNBA's reaction, so starkly different from the LPGA's, begs a crucial question. Is there resistance about shielding their stars, or are they missing the bigger picture? What makes this more fascinating is how LPGA players and fans responded. The vibe at the event was electric. The crowd sensed they were part of something historic, not just a standard golf tournament. People got there early, eager to see Clark, and stayed long after, interacting with athletes and soaking in the vibrant atmosphere. This was more than a one-off spike. It's a sign of a growing interest that could elevate all women's sport.
Because we know in the WNBA, when it came to Caitlin Clark, it was a lot of we don't need you, and we were good before, and we don't like your fans, and this, that, and everything.
LPGA icons like Nelly Korda praised Clark, calling her a breath of fresh air and admitting how great it was to see a new kind of crowd. They saw Caitlin not as a threat but as an ally, someone who could inject new vitality into the game. The LPGA knew that expanding its audience helps everyone involved, and acted swiftly on that opportunity. Contrast that with the WNBA, which has unfortunately been more defensive regarding Clark's fame. There is a sense that Caitlin represents a paradigm shift that jeopardizes the league's traditional dynamics. Instead of focusing on cross-promotional opportunities, or how her fame could enhance the league's visibility, some in the WNBA seem to see her fanbase as an intrusion. This mindset, though, could be holding the league back at a critical juncture. The world of sports is changing, and leagues that do not adapt risk being left behind. The LPGA seems to grasp that evolution is crucial for expansion, while the WNBA seems hesitant, maybe overly protective of its identity.
They did everything they could to sabotage their own league. And yeah, it backfired. For me anyway, I think it's hard to argue that it didn't completely backfire for them, because Caitlin Clark is more popular than ever.
By turning a cold shoulder to Clark's popularity, is the WNBA missing out on a chance that could benefit not only their league, but the entire landscape of women's sports? The WNBA's hesitation to fully welcome Clark reveals a very different philosophy. Instead of celebrating her power to unite fans across sports, Some in the league seem to view her fame as a distraction. It's as though they are guarding an exclusive club rather than building an inclusive platform for all fans of women's sports. This tactic, opposite to the LPGA's open arms approach, could hinder the WNBA's future success. Today's fans want compelling stories, big personalities, and interleague storylines. By shutting out someone like Caitlin, the WNBA risks looking disconnected from what modern sports audiences want. In trying to keep their focus tight, they might be squandering the chance to build a larger, more devoted fan base. What makes Caitlin Clark's stardom so compelling is her authentic love for all sports. She has publicly supported female athletes across many disciplines, highlighting the importance of unity and shared success. Clark has repeatedly voiced her respect for leagues like the WNBA and her passion for promoting women's sports as a whole. Imagine if the WNBA had harnessed this enthusiasm instead of dismissing it. Clark's influence could have brought in new spectators, increased ticket sales, and given the league a major visibility boost. But instead, the league's response has been cautious, almost dismissive. This could be a huge missed opportunity for the WNBA, one they may live to regret. By not welcoming Clark as an ally, they've unintentionally created a tension that is now public, possibly alienating the very fans they are trying to win over. The divergent approaches of the LPGA and WNBA provide a clear lesson in adaptability. The LPGA saw Caitlin Clark's appearance as a moment to grow, bringing in new audiences and seizing a unique opportunity. They knew that women's sports, which often have lower viewership, gain so much from cross-league support and unity. The LPGA isn't concerned about where fans come from. They are thrilled that more people are taking an interest in their sport, and by partnering with stars like Clark, they are positioning themselves to attract and retain those fans long-term. In contrast, the WNBA's position implies they see Clark's fame as a threat, not an asset. Instead of using her multi-sport appeal, they seem focused on a status quo that may not serve them well in the changing sports world. The LPGA's experience with Caitlin Clark should be a blueprint for other leagues on how to navigate the times. While the WNBA's protective stance may seem valid to those inside, it risks alienating fans and stalling progress. If leagues like the WNBA don't welcome stars who can bring in new demographics, they may struggle to compete in an increasingly interconnected sports landscape. Fans want to see collaboration, energy, and unity, particularly in women's sports, where the hurdles are often shared. The LPGA's success with Clark shows that growth and openness go together, offering a model that could benefit all of women's sports if more leagues chose to follow it. As Caitlin Clark's influence continues to expand, the divide between how the LPGA and
WNBA treat her fame will likely become more pronounced. The LPGA's embrace of Clark could spark a wider trend of cooperation between women's sports leagues, a method that could elevate them all. Meanwhile, the WNBA's hesitation may ultimately limit its own potential. By not seizing the chance to work with a star like Clark, they are potentially leaving loyal fans and crucial resources on the table. This is about more than one player or league. It's about the future of women's sports as a collective force. And if the WNBA does not adapt, it may find itself watching as other leagues capitalize on the star power it chose to disregard. The response to Caitlin Clark's rapid rise has exposed a deep-seated divide between women's sports leagues. While the LPGA's method demonstrates adaptability and vision, the WNBA's reaction suggests a more protective, almost defensive, posture. It is surprising to see this level of friction, especially in a time when women's sports could gain enormously from solidarity and joint promotion. Caitlin Clark has proven she is more than a fan favorite. She is a genuine advocate for all female athletes. Her sincere love for women's sports, her magnetic charm, and her ability to draw a crowd are an incredible asset to any sport she touches. Imagine if the WNBA had taken a page from the LPGA's book and publicly celebrated Clark's success. What if they had seen her as a bridge to connect new audiences to their own league? The potential for crossover appeal among fans of basketball, golf, and more could be tremendous. And this isn't just about Caitlin's fan base. It's about the wider impact she has inspiring young girls to follow women's sports of all kinds. The WNBA could have owned this moment, aligning with Clark's journey to enhance their league's visibility. Instead, they've projected an image of exclusivity that could ultimately backfire, leaving everyone to question why the league isn't more welcoming. In today's sports world, fans crave stories and stars they can connect with. Caitlin Clark isn't just an athlete, she's a personality, and that's what draws people in. The LPGA saw this and used her appeal to create an event that felt dynamic and exciting. The crowds that came to see her were not just there for golf, they were there for the story, the energy, and the chance to be part of something new. This is where the LPGA showed real foresight. They weren't concerned with keeping things pure for golf, they were focused on growing the sport, and saw Clark as the perfect person to help them
do it. The question now is, why hasn't the WNBA adopted a similar strategy? Even more interesting is how fans have reacted to the WNBA's reluctance to embrace Clark. Many fans are vocal in their support for Clark. Regardless of the sport, they want her to succeed and are eager to follow her career path, whether it's on a court or a course. By not fully embracing her, the WNBA risks alienating not just Clark's fans, but their existing ones too. The message this sends to young aspiring athletes could be harmful. Instead of promoting unity and celebrating mutual success, the WNBA's position creates division, implying there is no room for collaboration or cross-sport support. The LPGA, on the other hand, seems to get the value of community and mutual promotion. Their strategy shows a deeper understanding of what modern sports fans are looking for. People want to see athletes who support each other, leagues that cooperate, and a feeling of unity. The LPGA's collaboration with Caitlin Clark sent a clear signal that they're not just open to growth, but are actively chasing it. They are not afraid of new fans or the attention Clark brings. In fact, they welcome it. This differing approach shows a level of flexibility that could be key to the LPGA's future. While they are capitalizing on this moment, the WNBA seems stuck in a mindset that may inhibit its own growth. Unfortunately, the WNBA's response seems to be rooted in an old way of thinking, one that favors exclusivity over expansion. By distancing themselves from Clark, they are missing a chance to tap into a much larger audience. Fans of women's sports want to see athletes and leagues supporting each other, breaking down barriers, and working together to bring more attention to women's achievements. The WNBA's reluctance to embrace this collaborative spirit may ultimately put them at a disadvantage, especially as other leagues, like the LPGA, show they are ready to adapt to meet fan desires. The LPGA's embrace of Caitlin Clark could set a new precedent for how women's sports leagues interact with each other in the future. Imagine a world where leagues openly promote crossover events, celebrate each other's stars, and recognize the value of shared fan bases. This approach could redefine women's sports, making them more accessible, popular, and respected. By working together, leagues can create a bigger, more inclusive world for women's athletics. The LPGA's decision to embrace Clark may just be the start of a revolution. But if the WNBA doesn't shift its thinking, it risks being left behind as other leagues capitalize on the opportunity for new energy and fans. As we watch this story play out, it's clear Caitlin Clark's influence is only getting stronger. The LPGA's choice to bring her into their world was a bold one, and it paid off in ways that will likely serve them for years. Clark is a superstar, and her fans will follow her anywhere. The LPGA's willingness to welcome her and celebrate her popularity shows a foresight other leagues should note. They understand that growth isn't about gatekeeping. It's about opening doors, inviting new fans, and showing the world how exciting women's sports can be. By contrast, the WNBA's resistance to fully embrace Clark reveals a mindset that could limit its own potential. By focusing on preserving the current state of affairs, they are missing the chance to expand their fan base and reach new audiences. It's a reminder that sports, especially in the realm of women's athletics, need to be flexible and open to change. Today's fans are drawn to authenticity, connection, and stories that cross traditional lines. Caitlin Clark represents all of that and more. And any league that welcomes her influence is likely to see incredible rewards. If this situation has taught us anything, it's that women's sports stand to gain enormously from collaboration, boldness, and a willingness to embrace stars who draw attention to the game. The LPGA's embrace of Clark is a step in the right direction, showing they're willing to take risks, innovate, and put the growth of women's sports first. The WNBA, on the other hand, risks falling behind by clinging to an outdated approach that doesn't meet modern fan expectations. Women's sports are on the verge of a major transformation, and the leagues that adapt will be the ones that thrive. The LPGA's embrace of Caitlin Clark and the WNBA's resistance revealed two very different paths in women's sports. While one league sees opportunity, the other seems to see a threat. As Caitlin Clark's influence grows, the WNBA's reluctance could cost them dearly. Is the WNBA making a mistake, or is their approach justified? Let us know in the comments. And if you found this breakdown insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories on sports, strategy, and culture. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the latest updates in women's sports. The LPGA's decision to feature Caitlin Clark proved to be transformative. Fans from all walks of life appeared. They're not just for the golf, but to catch a glimpse of Clark herself. Her popularity is indisputable. She has ushered in a wave of new followers to women's sports. As for the LPGA, they saw this instantly, greeting her warmly and viewing her not merely as a star, but as a beacon drawing new attention to their sport. The LPGA celebrated her attendance, understanding Caitlin was more than a basketball player. She was a magnet for youth audiences, many of whom might never have given women's golf a second thought. However, this warm welcome triggered an unexpected response, a current of deep frustration from the Wnba. The reason? It seems that instead of embracing Clark's widespread appeal, some voices within the Wnba perceive her as a competitor for the limelight, despite the boost she could offer. A feeling exists in the league that she pulls focus from its veteran stars. Some Wnba players and fans have voiced doubts, claiming the attention around Clark undermines the progress they have fought for.
The LPGA has ignited a major controversy, and it's a situation that has the Wnba fuming. Recently, the LPGA invited Caitlin Clark, one of basketball's brightest new prodigies, to participate in a special event. The result, a massive attendance, off-the-charts excitement levels, and a fresh wave of supporters taking to women's golf. The LPGA openly championed Clark's appearance, recognizing the incredible value she brings. But here comes the complication. While the world of golf welcomed her, the Wnba's reception has been anything but warm. Why would the Wnba feel so threatened by Clark's popularity? Could it be jealousy or something more complex? Stick with us, because this story delves into the core of a rivalry set to redefine the entire world of women's sports.
The LPGA Tour had Caitlin Clark play, and the LPGA, fans, the event was taken over by the ominous crowd that made sure to go get angry at everything Caitlin Clark did, and everything Caitlin Clark does and was ever going to do, and made it that she was the problem and not the solution.